Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm Dr. Christina Pardo. I'm on the board of Life of Hope. On behalf of Life of Hope, I would like to first thank Cristo Rey, Brooklyn High School, our partner here. We have the president of Cristo Rey here in presence, Bill Ford, the principal, Bob Cartel, the chair, Bill Henson as well, John Infernitro. Would like to thank Life of Hope, our executive director, Porras Luxama, Father Juan Luxama, who is the founder and board chair, our community at large, all of our volunteers and staff, Fritz Augustine, who helped us get ready for this today, our volunteers, our staff, our family that we serve. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Life of Hope, where we strive to be the central hub of hope, access, and prosperity for youth and immigrant families here in central Brooklyn. Here at Life of Hope, we educate, empower, and bring equity directly into our communities. We know that there are no single issue problems, and we look to bring all of the services and access and needs directly into our community. It is with privilege that we're able to partner with the Madam Governor and the New York State Department of Health to bring vaccine access directly into the community. We know that bold action is needed past that for our community, and we look forward to partnering with the governor on that to be able to bring food into houses, money into pockets, job, and address all the needs that the community needs, because people are suffering. The COVID pandemic has hit our community harder than others, Black and brown communities. And here, where our community are mostly Caribbean and Haitian descent, the depths of the impact go beyond the numbers. I'd like to, again, even more important that we are here today in the center of the Haitian community of New York, when this community has suffered multiple levels of traumatic events this summer. So important to bring the services and the access that they need directly here. So I'd like to thank Governor Hochul, all of our elected officials, all of our partners in the community, our partners in the city for help making us bring the action directly to the community, including our council member, Farra Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pardo. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Farra Lewis. I represent the 45th Council District where we are today, and I want to thank Governor Hochul for organizing today's Vax to School event, and this conversation is very important. We faced unprecedented times in this district in central Brooklyn, and I know how much our scholars and our students mean to Governor Hochul, and why it's very important for our students to be immunized to return back to school. I would like to acknowledge some very important leaders and stakeholders who are here with us this morning. We have with us New York City Council member Matthew Eugene. We have with us this morning Edu Hermelin, the 43rd Assembly District leader. We have I would like to also acknowledge two of our leaders who could not be with us this morning but would like to send their regards. Crystal Hudson, an incoming council member, and also Rita Joseph, who will be the incoming council member for the 40th District, as well as we have with us this morning LaShawn Robinson, the Department of Education's Deputy Chancellor for Schools, Climate, and Wellness. It is very important that we encourage parents to make sure that they vaccinate their children. It's very important for our kids to remain safe, to remain healthy, but most importantly to protect them against COVID-19. And this is a way for us to fight back against the pandemic. But without further ado, I would like to bring to the podium someone that's very important to our state, the first woman to represent as our governor for the state of New York, but someone who cares a lot about central Brooklyn, our students, and our community. And I want to thank her so much for her staunch advocacy throughout the years, but most importantly, in a time such as this, as we need our students to get vaccinated. Without further ado, I would like to invite Governor Kathy Hochul to the podium. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me today? That truck's a little loud. Who brought that truck? All right. It's not my fault. Blame Metrovision. Dr. Christina Prado, first of all, to you and the family at this Life of Hope facility. It's so extraordinary the work that's done here. Over 15 years ago, some members of this community came forth and said, our immigrants in central Brooklyn need special attention. Let's give them a home to come to. Let's take care of their basic needs. And what has gone on in this 15 years is that you've taken care of people sometimes in their darkest hours. And for that, on behalf of all New Yorkers, I want to say thank you to you as the director, but also everyone who's part of this family. Let's give them all a round of applause. Councilmember Farra Lewis, we've seen each other many times, and Councilmember Matt G, we saw each other at a gun event, anti-gun event a couple weeks ago. Thank you for your leadership, both our council members. Also, Nick Perry, who is represented by Monique Waterman, is here, and I spoke to the assembly member yesterday. He's recovering right now. He'll be fine in a couple of days, and I want to make sure we acknowledge his great representation of this district. Joined by also a friend of mine, neighboring Senator Prasad, who will be giving a few remarks to close up the event here today. We're here for one reason. One reason. That's to protect our children. And I come at this as a mother who knows from the second you first hold that baby, you are hardwired to do everything in your power to protect them. It's that simple. And it's the first time you put them in a car seat, the first time you tell them not to run into the street, you make sure they have a bike helmet on, you make sure they're wearing their seat belts, and as they get older, you make sure that they're safe when they leave the house, and you impart to them all the knowledge you have as an adult to this child on what it takes for them to stay alive and to stay safe. And that's why it was an important priority of mine as we knew our children were heading back to school. In my first day as governor, 4 weeks ago today, seems a little longer, 4 weeks ago today, I announced a universal mask mandate, which seemed like a simple issue, ends up being fairly controversial in some circles, but it doesn't matter. Those masks are like the seatbelts. They protect your children. And I'm glad there's been incredible compliance, and to our education leaders, the principals of the various schools that are represented here, I thank them for enforcing this to make sure our kids are safe. We also work closely with our schools to prioritize in-person learning. Remote learning, interesting experiment, it ended up being a disaster. Yes, it was a better alternative than nothing, but we know we need our kids back in a classroom so they can make up for the lost year and start feeling that sense of normalcy that was long denied our children. And many of them ended up having hopefully short-term and not long-term impacts on their own mental health because of that isolation and separation. But we had an opportunity back in May when 12 to 17-year-olds were authorized by the CDC and ultimately New York State to be vaccinated. Now this goes back to May. This tool has been out there for months, knowing that kids would have the summer, they'd be back in school in the fall, and there was a vulnerability created. And maybe back in May people thought, well, the virus is almost over, my child doesn't need it, we're going to get through this. And then the Delta variant just skyrocketed, the number of cases because of the Delta variant. And as you're seeing cases all over America, the children are the ones getting sick. It's like putting your kids in a car on a busy highway with no seatbelt, a young, inexperienced driver, and saying, good luck, you're out there, good luck, I'm sure you'll be fine. We as parents cannot do anything to endanger our children. And keeping them unvaccinated during a global pandemic, which is not over yet, my friends, is something I can't comprehend as a parent. And I'm calling all parents to understand that, yes, more time, if you needed more time to make sure that it was safe, to see other people had gone forth, look at your own state. We have over 13.5 million people vaccinated with at least one dose, 12 million with both doses, and many, many young people. But our numbers for this age group about 54% statewide, and I know they're lower in this zip code. So to increase the vaccination rate, I'm appealing to people personally, but I'm also, we're hitting the road. We're taking vans out there. I announced a couple weeks ago, we announced a Vax to School campaign. And we're targeting the communities with low vaccination rates among young people, particularly communities of color. And we set up a web page for parents. We set up all kinds of information. And I also said we're going to bring pop-ups. We'll make it so easy on you. And that's what you see behind me. And I want to thank our friends here on the ground for being willing to host this. And we're going to have over 120 sites and vans all over the state to make sure that parents, first of all, visibly see how easy this is, and in partnership with the schools, let's get the parental consent forms in the hands of parents, make it normal, make it seem just another routine, just like you couldn't go to kindergarten without your vaccinations, my friends. We all know that. And this program will run through the fall. And this clinic here is going to be from 11 a.m. to 5:30 tomorrow. So parents, protect your kids. This is the combination of their seatbelt, their bike helmet, and car seat, everything else that you would do naturally to protect your child. Getting them vaccinated should be just as natural as that. It's safe, it's smart, and you will not regret it. Because I cannot imagine the regret a parent does feel when they had their child unvaccinated, that child gets sick or worse. I'm going to guess as a mom, that's the guilt you do not want to live with. So I encourage you, be smart, come down here, visit our websites, check it out, and I thank everybody who's making sure the school environment's safe, from the principals, administrators, and the teachers who've gone back and been vaccinated themselves. I hold you out as heroes for what you did last year remotely, and for the passion that you bring to your jobs to make sure that all these children, particularly here in New York, because those are the ones I'm concerned about, that they have a best shot at a healthy life, and that we all get through this pandemic together. And it starts in neighborhoods right like this in central Brooklyn. I want to thank you to the media. Thank you for getting the word out. We need your voices. We need you to ramp this up and let people know that it's not too late. You can still do this. The vaccinations are available, they're free, and they're right here on the ground. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to introduce a great friend of mine, partner in government, Senator Roxanneprasad.
Good morning, everyone. I am Senator Roxanneprasad, and I represent the 19th Senate District, a district that was devastated by COVID, a district that we are working diligently to ensure that everyone gets a vaccine. Thanks to Governor Hochul for bringing the mobile units across our districts so that we have access to the vaccine. No one can say, oh, it's too far for me to go. It's right outside of your doors. I thank the schools for allowing us to bring the mobile sites to their facilities so that parents, when they bring their kids off to school, they come right into the van to have the kids have a vaccine. Remember, kids 12 to 17 years old must have parental approval before they receive the vaccine. The vaccines are safe. Do I have horns on my forehead? No. In March, I took the vaccine. I have nieces and nephews who've taken the vaccines. They're 12 and over, and they've taken the vaccines. The vaccines are safe. So I encourage parents to have their kids vaccinated. The first day of school, I was at school, and the teachers were there in their superhero outfits, encouraging the kids as they were coming back to school. That's what we want to see more of. We want to see more kids back in our school facilities, and for us to do that safely, we encourage parents to have your kids vaccinated. Remember, the vaccines are safe, and it's for our community's best interest. So again, thank you for getting the word out, and remember, Vax to School is about our community's safety. Thank you all very much.
Any questions? I have said that all options are on the table. I'm watching the numbers like a hawk, and we're making sure that, first of all, we want to go at it voluntarily, and I'm hoping that people hear this additional call and that it's safe, that it's accessible, it's right in neighborhoods. But if the circumstances change and I'm not satisfied with our progress and the numbers continue to increase and our children are not safe, I'm willing to consider anything.
Pfizer sounds like they're going to get the emergency approval for kids 5 to 11 years old. What do you think about that? They're going to be pushing for parents to also get those kids vaccinated at that age range as well to come down and about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm encouraged by the preliminary signs, but I'm going to wait until all the data is there. The science is going to continue to drive what we do here in the state of New York, so I'll wait to see what the clinical trials reveal, also the CDC recommendations, and then it comes to the state of New York, where we'll very quickly have it go through our review committee to make sure that we have that extra New York State seal of approval to get out there. And I think that also gives New Yorkers confidence to know that it's gone through multiple levels of review. I'm excited about it. If I'm a parent of a 5-year-old heading off to school, I cannot wait to be able to get that safety protection into my children's arm and know that they're going to be safe when they leave their home. So yes, we're very excited about this possibility. Also on boosters, we are prepared. I know this week we'll have a final confirmation from the federal government on boosters. We have already allocated $65 million to local governments all over the state to start ramping up for boosters, whether it's the 65 and up to start. But I believe that that is the way to go. You can't be protected enough against this pandemic. What are people waiting for? It's right there. We are in a far better place than we were a year ago when we didn't have a lifeline. We didn't have any hope. You just prayed that you didn't come in contact and succumb to it. That's all you had was hopes and prayers. Today we have a vaccine. Our prayers were answered in that we have a vaccine. And I still can understand why everybody in America has not been vaccinated. I'm going to do the best I can here in the state of New York.
Yesterday, the mayor announced 2 changes to the COVID policies in schools. One was testing weekly instead of bi-weekly, but the one that seems a little more controversial is allowing unvaccinated students who are exposed in a classroom to a COVID case to remain in school as long as they stay distant and have their masks on. Do you support that?
We're watching to see the results of that. Again, I'm engaging in a different philosophy. Very different philosophy. I want to empower local officials to do what they think is right as long as they meet our statewide standards. And I'm willing to let the mayor undertake this. He's very focused, as I am, on keeping kids in school, because when they are home and they're not symptomatic and they've just been exposed and they're wearing their masks, that is a safe situation. But if it determines that it's not, then we'll take action. I think the public also understands there has never been a playbook on how you deal with a global pandemic. We have had to do some things. All we do is based on the science and the data in front of us, but we also have to inject some creativity in how we have to ensure the overall objective, keeping people safe, also coincides with educating our kids. We cannot forego the opportunity for kids to be in classroom as long as we ensure their safety and the safety of the students around them.
Okay, last question, guys.
We got all your questions. Bingo. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming out.